as you've seen in my title, is there already a third temple built? Now I know you're hearing across the net that, oh, they've already secretly started it. Well, I have a different take on it, and I thought I would bring this forth. As much as I know I'm going to be hated, this is food for thought, but it does ring true. The third temple, Antichrist sitting in it and all that stuff, is false doctrine. It goes along with Paul in Thessalonians. It says, because they wouldn't receive a love for the truth, I'll send strong delusion. That happened. So I want to show you my take on this and let you contemplate it and see if what I'm about to bring forth makes sense. In a way, people got what they wanted, but not the way they wanted it. They wanted a red heifer, they wanted a third temple, and an antichrist to sit in the temple. In a real manner of speaking, that's what happened, but not the way that churchianity is thinking still, even to this day. This goes a little bit deep. I think I might want to break this into two parts. One, I want to deal with the counterfeit move of Zion, that because Satan, Isaiah chapter 14, is out to duplicate everything Yahweh wants to do in his own perverted manner. Even down to changing the DNA, wiping out the name of Yahweh, 10.5.6.5, rewriting the book of life through those. He duplicated things, and as someone said, oh, I like how this was said. I was going to say it differently, but I like this even better. By taking the abomination, he created a counterfeit bride in a counterfeit kingdom, which is exactly what took place starting in 2020. So who cares what's going on in Jerusalem? Yes, back in July they claimed they had a test sacrifice of a red heifer. All of this is a distraction. If they want to try to build a third temple, let them go ahead. But it's not in Scripture that there's supposed to be one, because people wouldn't receive a love for the truth. Just like the rapture, they don't want to receive a love for the truth, that there's no rapture. So he sent them to strong delusion, because he is the truth. Which is why I think I want to do a second part dealing with that aspect, but that's not for today. I don't want to get too awful long, but I want you to think about this. For those of you who knows that the mark has been here, this is going to make a lot more sense and put a few more puzzle pieces into place with what's going on. So the churches think the mark could not have come without an antichrist. There has to be a 7-year peace treaty. There has to be a third temple, which means there has to be a red heifer. And he's got to sit in the temple 3.5 years later. And none of that happened. But in a sense, and I don't want to speak for Yahweh on this, but I can see where he's allowed things to happen, that false doctrine did come back upon people's head without them realizing it. Because remember, the church still and has always been teaching that this third temple will affect the entire world, when he doesn't say there's no third temple. Apostle Paul was very clear. He says, don't you know, you are the temple. I think that is as clear as can possibly be. And he says he will sit in the temple, claiming he is as Yahweh. Yes or no? But if he says you're the temple, we can't just dismiss the other. We have to put both together. If we are the temple, then the Antichrist spirit sits in the temple as Yahweh, which is what the abominations did changing the name of Yahweh into 10566665. Changing the third strand. Yes or no? We can't just accept one and dismiss the other and go about twisting it into a third temple, because that's not what happened. So what the churches believe, which is damnable heresy, really in this case damnable heresies, along with the rapture, many other doctrines. He says, fine, I'll give you up to your delusions. Isaiah says, I'll choose your delusions then. And he did, because Paul says he would send strong delusion. So I had a conversation with someone where, when he says I'll send strong delusion, that word delusion is the Greek word planos. And I looked it up, and it's true. It's where we get the English word planet. And she showed me the word planet is in the Bible only once. But the delusion did affect the whole earth, did it not? The lockdowns, every country was affected. Everyone was demanded to take the jibs, yes or no? And as I went over earlier, falling away shall come first. The word falling away, words falling away is counted as one word, and it means divorce, divorcement. COVID backwards is divok, where we get the word divorce from. The shots was a divorcement. Literally writing in the DNA is like literally writing a divorce. The proof is everywhere, and it is on a genetic level. The proof is everywhere. If you want to email me, I'll send you a link to somebody who really knows how to describe it in the best footage, the best documentary I've ever seen. You should be without a doubt that the 19 was the falling away. It was the mark administered by the needles. The Palisades. If I'm seeing it right, California's back on fire again. And that's a whole nother subject. This whole world is on fire. But I went over the natural disasters. So here's what I see, that because of false doctrine, the majority of people on earth took the mark. And he says in Revelation 18:23, by sorcery, pharmakia, pharmacy, were all, not some, all nations deceived. Revelation 13, he says, he deceiveth all those who received a mark. They were deceived into it, not told that it is the mark. Deceived into it. That's what he said. So with this deception and this strong delusion that would be sent, that they might be damned, well, the churches got basically what they have been preaching, but not in the way they thought. So, let me do a little recapping. There is a counterfeit move of Zion and a true move of Zion. There's a counterfeit bride, counterfeit Messiah, and a true Messiah and a true bride. Now there's a counterfeit temple and a true temple. So now there's two brides at war against each other. So recapping, the word vaccine comes from the word V-A-C-C-A, vaka, which means cow. Cow. The golden image at Sinai. Moses didn't show up. Where is he? We don't know whether he goes or whatever. So let's make ourselves an idol to go before him. Or for us, excuse me. And they did that. It replayed in these last days with a counterfeit pandemic where they said we got to make our own idol to go before us. And they called it The vaccine's the Messiah. Faith in the vaccine gospel. They created a counterfeit Messiah like they did at Sinai. It was the golden calf, except the vaca, which means cow, was their golden calf on the inside. The vaca. Well, the churches wanted their third temple. Well, they got a different version of it. Their red heifer sacrifice was from the cow vaccine, the vaca. They got their version of a red heifer, but not the way they wanted, injected into the people. Hello? There's their red heifer. Now they became a counterfeit bride. Now the people who took it became a counterfeit temple where he can no longer reside. You see how deep, how dark this thing goes? This is what happened. And sure enough, the Antichrist spirit, through the third strand of DNA, sits in people's temple. And most of the world is now under the mark. Now those of us who are left are the only ones who can be the true versus the false. The kingdom of light versus the kingdom of darkness. This is what has taken place. As scary as it is, heartbreaking as it is, this is what happened. The world was under a delusion, which means that word delusion from the word planos, which means, and I love these parts of it, a deceiver, a false shepherd. What was the deceiver? The vaccine is the Messiah. They couldn't believe in him over a counterfeit pandemic, let alone the real one, and they put their faith in their Messiah, the vaccine. And they gave up their souls for a Krispy Kreme donut, like Esau for his bowl of soup. We can't forget what these things that happened. They happened in our lifetime. People has a short memory sometimes, others don't. This is what took place. They got their third temple. That's right. But not over in Jerusalem, and not the red heifer they wanted. They got their heifer sacrificed. The vacas. I don't know if Yahweh was letting it happen this way as a message, but that's the way it happened, nevertheless. Now Satan has his counterfeit bride. And I would call this a case of paternity fraud, but that's not for today. Hold on, that's not for today. It's not today's subject. Keeping this short here as I can. But this is what happened in our lifetime. And prophecy didn't happen the way we thought. Who would have thought that a pandemic was the way the mark would be introduced? They were waiting for an antichrist that everyone could point at and say, there he is, now the mark can come. That's not the way it happened either. Our versions of prophecy has been an error to greater or smaller degree, depends on the person. So therefore we got to relook at the whole scriptures now, all the prophecies. We got to really ask for wisdom now to figure this thing out, because it's not happening the way we thought. Which means we're still in danger. Big time. It's getting clearer as the days go on. But that's the false. But what about the true temple? What about them? Those of us who are left that are uncorrupted, that didn't take the abomination, where does that leave us? Can we still be sucked in? Let's pray not. But what happens with the true temple of Yahweh? Well, the Antichrist spirit sits in the shot takers. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I know it hurts, because every one of us knows somebody that took it. It's just the way it is. Even in my own family. What I found out so far, most so far that I found out, took it. I can't do anything about it. What about the true temple, those of us who are left, though? Yahweh wants to reside in the temple. Now notice, he says his temple is not made with human hands. It's not the first and second temple back then. The temple Paul's talking about now is not made with human hands. The human body, we're born in a woman's womb. We're not inside her womb putting pieces, arms and legs together. It's not built with human hands, right? But the counterfeit temple of the Jibs was made with human hands from people in lab coats and a needle. Yes or no? So I meditated on this a little bit, thought it might be interesting, food for thought. You might think I'm over the top, but really not. When we really think about this on a spiritual level, for those who can have Yahweh dwell within the temples, I think about Mary as my prime example. So, her and Joseph, and notice that this was done in, angel shows up in the 6th month. This is the 6th month. It says, hey, you're going to have a son born unto you. But they didn't have relations. But Yahweh says, no, you're handpicked. He picked you, Mary. You're blessed above all women, like the overcomers of the last days are called the first fruits in the Yahweh and its salvation. Where all those in Hebrews 11 says they died not having received the fullness of the promises. But his people in the last days, his overcomers, have to do that, because we have to enter the promises, the restoration of all things. So his true temple has to have him residing in it. Can't do it with the Jibs because he can no longer enter. Blessed above all the peoples of the earth in these last days, like Mary, blessed above all women. So he handpicked her with no sexual relations. And here's the king growing inside of her. The Word made flesh growing inside of her temple. Now hold on. Now, I'm not trying to compare us to Mary on this level, but using this as some sort of an example, as food for thought. Now, he handpicked her. And it's strange, isn't it? I mean, Israel was delivered from Egypt because of the Passover lamb that delivered them from Egypt. But here comes Herod. Kill them all. He was going to slay the firstborn to get the king. And what did they have to do? They were delivered from Egypt because of the Passover lamb. Now Joseph and Mary had to save the Passover lamb by going back to Egypt. Yes or no? So here she has the Word made flesh growing in her womb. Right? And he says he wants to dwell in his temple. What's the real difference between Mary and us? Yeah, I know the king himself was in her, but can we apply that further? This has been on my mind so much lately, and I'm learning more and more about it, because this statement is not small. Everybody knows it by heart. Nevertheless, not I that live, nevertheless, not Mary that lives either, but Messiah liveth in me. As he was growing in her, he's to grow in us. So basically, I could see where the Father spewed those out of his mouth started in 2020. I know it. People hate me for that, but I can see that he was going to have just the true left. Those who didn't take the jibs had to be numbered amongst those that he called anyway to be saved, that he knew would be saved. So it's not us that live, it's him that liveth in us, just as Mary was actually carrying the king. Well, we're to actually carry him on that spiritual level. What's the real difference? The temple, though, can't be corrupted. It's the true temple versus the counterfeit around the world. We're outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. Who knows what the number is? So how is the king going to birth forth in us? He says, I am the truth. I go over this over and over and over and over. I'm the truth, the way, and the life. Holy Spirit is truth. Can't worship him unless it's in spirit and the truth. Yahweh is truth. Truth is the only way he's going to show up. He never exists inside of a lie. So those who would not receive a love for the truth, he sent the strong delusion which affected Planos, the planet or earth. Whatever, for flat earthers, I get it. I just use the word planet so people get what I'm saying, okay? I don't want to cause a big argument. It affected the whole earth. The strong delusion as false deliverer, a false Messiah. Faith in the vaccine. The Messiah is the vaccine. That took place. The counterfeit temple. The true did not. And will still have the truth because they wouldn't receive a love for the truth, though. The strong delusion and the strongest part of it was sent. Yes or no? And affected all the planet Earth. Christian or a Hindu or whatever religion. But every last one of them are under the devil's control. They're now the devil's property, if you will. He can't come back to that temple. It's like Noah's day, the DNA was destroyed. But in us, we don't live. This flesh and blood, this flesh here cannot inherit the kingdom. Can't do it. So this flesh does not live. But Messiah liveth in us. I'm not saying we're allowed to go out there and sin like crazy. It's not what I'm saying either. But we all have error. This is why we overcame by the blood of the Lamb, not how perfect we were in the law to get there, but by the blood of the Lamb that liveth in us and keeps, from his spiritual perspective, the temples, collectively temple, clean. Revelation 11, measure the temple, but the outer court measure it not. There's 3 courts. The outer court, the inner court, and the Holy of Holies. And Mary had the Word made flesh directly inside of her. Did she not? Do you see it? Are we any different? Satan tried to duplicate that. He wanted to put the Antichrist spirit inside of the people through the shots, even as the king was inside of her, which is a representation, I think, of Paul saying, he liveth in me, not I that live, but Messiah liveth in me. Because he's ignoring all the flesh. It's not going to inherit the kingdom. But it's whether we accept truth or not becomes the number one ingredient to know who's on whose side. And most of those of the world never would walk into the truth. They refuse. So that's how I know who's walking into truth versus those who are rejecting it. Because he says, I am the truth. The more truth we accept, the more of him we're accepting, and he's living in us through the truth we possess and keep looking for. He understands the errors. Doesn't mean he's suddenly gone. He knew this would happen, why his blood covers us during this walk. Do you see the difference between the true and the false? So yes, they got their red heifer through the Vaca cow vaccines. And they got their counterfeit temple, though they don't even realize it. The whole world that took the abomination is that counterfeit bride and that counterfeit temple. And the Antichrist spirit sits in them. But we're out here still on the other side. We're untouched. So I just wanted to bring this up today. And I'm keeping this one short. This is food for thought. The proof is there. The mark is the jibs. The divorce 19. 19 in the Bible literally means beginning and an end. It's true. So there we are. They got their counterfeit third temple. Not in the way they wanted. Even if they go build one in Jerusalem, who cares? The damage is already done. The counterfeit temple is already built through the jibs. And the Antichrist spirit sits in their temple, being as God as Yahweh, as Paul said. Paul saw this thing coming. They're waiting for a third temple, and the Antichrist sits in it where everyone can see on TV. It did happen that way. Their teachings were false all along, but, oh, fine, you have faith in these damnable heresies? I'll give it to you, world. Because of false doctrine and not receiving the truth. Because of the stubborn, stiff-necked Christian attitude, the know-it-all Christian ego, the mark came and gone, and most are now under that umbrella. That's what took place. They got their cow, they got their red heifer injected right into them. It's a molded image. It is idolatry. And other idols are of fame, my lifestyle, my fortune. Those are idols too. I said in Isaiah 42, they should be turned back, that trusted in graven images. The shot, the Baal shot, that say unto the faith in the vaccine gospel, has said unto that, you are a God that saves us from COVID. You will be turned back, among other things. The other people trusting in other idols, they want to be in their holidays and everything else. They'll be turned back too. That's the number one, those who took the cow, Vaca, Mount Sinai, Baal shots, because that's exactly, bottom line, what it is. They had their version of their red heifer sacrifice, all right, all around the world. Makes me wonder why this blood red eclipse is coming on September 7th. So yeah, she was told, I was getting into that earlier, on the 6th month by Gabriel. Many other things. 6-month Haggai, I would love to get in that today. Haggai was told in the 6th month, my house lies in ruins, time to build the temple. He was told in the 6th month. Ezekiel was, I believe it's chapter 1, don't quote me. I believe I had that wrong. He was given powerful message in the 6th month. 6th month. Man was created on the 6th day. Always with 6s. The number of man. But I just wanted you to take this into consideration. I'm going to end it here. So it's getting hot again. Can't stay too long. But that's what I want you to think about today is Messiah liveth in us, but not this flesh. But right now, those who took the jib, the Antichrist spirit, liveth in them. They forsook him. So he sent them strong delusion because they would not over all the decades accept the truth. And he listened to Pastor so-and-so, Internet so-and-so. And this is the result of all of these damnable heresies.